this video, I'm going to be swatching and testing out some new art supplies that I just got. I have got some oil pastels, some colored pencils, some markers, and then a couple of other things like a Posca pen and a black ink pen. So going to be swatching all the different colors. I sped it up so it's not super long and tedious, but I always think it's really good to just be able to see the true color of things before you buy them, and I really like looking at swatch pictures and watching swatch videos. That way I can just tell, is this the real thing that I want, and how does it go on paper and that sort of thing. So if you keep watching, we can just get into it, swatch some new art supplies, and then at the very end I do just a drawing using a bunch of the different new things that I got so you can kind of see them in action. So hope you enjoy this one, and let's get into it. What if it's over here? First thing I got in my order are these Prismacolor Premier colored pencils, and it's the highlighting and shading set. So you get 12 brighter colors and then 12 darker colors. And the next thing I got is the Uni Posca Pen in the color white, and this is the bullet shaped pen. It's the 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter pen. Then I purchased these oil pastels by the Craypause brand, and it's just kind of, I think, a basic set. I don't own any oil pastels, so I figured this gives me a nice variety and they weren't too expensive. The next thing I got is the Tombow dual brush pens in the muted pack. And then lastly, I got the Pentel Arts pigment ink filled brush, and this comes already pre-filled with some black pigment. The first thing I'm going to swatch are the Tombow dual brush pens in the muted pack, and I'm just going through and drawing a little square for each one of these. I really like this pack. I have several others in my collection, but I knew that these were a lot of colors I wanted, so I just went with the muted pack, and I think they were on sale. I get all of my art supplies from dickblick.com, and they usually have sales, so definitely a good place to look. Now I'm going to swatch these Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. I have some of the Prismacolor kind of like student grade pencils. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're like a less expensive version, and they work perfectly fine. But everyone I know that I watch here on YouTube or on Instagram, they always use these Premier colored pencils. So I thought I would give them a try, and they're really nice. I do think they're a little bit creamier than the less expensive ones. And I will say that I'm swatching these on like a thicker watercolor paper, so they might not be coming across as smooth as they would be on like a smoother drawing paper, but I figure that's kind of better for a swatch video because you're seeing them probably in like the worst case scenario, and you're still getting a nice true color from them, but they'll go on even smoother and probably blend even nicer on a different smoother sheet of paper. I also think this is a great set to start out with because you are getting tons of bright colors and tons of dark colors. Well, I say tons, but 12 and 12. I just think it's a really good variety for what you're getting, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of everything you need to get started. For this Posca pen, I wanted to try using it over top of different types of paint. So I swatched a few different types of paint, like some watercolor is what I'm going over now. And then I also did some gouache and some acrylic gouache. So that's kind of what this pen's made for, especially the white color, is using it over top of things just to add some highlights or like extra little bits that you want lightened up. So just kind of doodling on here and just seeing how nice and opaque it can get over the different types of paint. I do think it dries down slightly less opaque than it goes on at first, but you could always go over it a second time. And then obviously I think it will just look better on darker colors just because there will be more contrast there. Now on to the oil pastels. So these are the Craypaws brand, I think. Maybe Sakura owns them. But either way, swatching these again on that watercolor paper. So probably not the smoothest surface, but I really just wanted to get a sense of the color and kind of how these work because I am totally new to oil pastels, so I really have no experience with them. I just know that I see a lot of other artists using them, and I do really like the texture that they provide, and mostly, not that I plan on using them as like the only medium in a piece, but I thought maybe they could add some nice like highlighted areas or just kind of bring in some extra texture on top of other layers of like paint or pencil. So that's kind of what I wanted these for. They're definitely more of an inexpensive oil pastel. I know there are other bigger brands out there that are more expensive and probably a lot nicer, but I just wanted kind of a beginner level. And I think these offer a nice, kind of serve that purpose nicely. I think the color is really vibrant and has a really nice payoff, but they are certainly pretty crumbly and they don't blend super well, but I also don't think oil pastels are really meant to, at least from what I know. But yeah, I think the color is a nice payoff. They're just like a little bit chunky, and I don't love that they come in a square. I think that's kind of annoying, but you could probably like shave them down or use a sharpener of some sort to get them like a finer tip. And that's probably what I'll be doing in the future. For the Pentel Aqua Pigment Ink Pen, I have been wanting this for a while. I have the one that doesn't have any ink already loaded into it. It's just empty, and then you put either water in it to use with watercolors, or you can put black ink in it. And so I had been doing that for years before I realized they actually sell one that has ink already in it. So I was pretty happy when I figured that out. And so now I'm just kind of swatching this and playing around, seeing like what different kind of line weights you can get with it. And then I was also curious just how dark the ink can get. It usually goes on pretty dark and then it will sort of lighten up as it dries, but you could go over it multiple times if you wanted to. And also I am just getting this pen started, so it's possible that as I go with it, it will get darker. But I really like this. I think it's just kind of fun for loose sketching or just doing like some hand lettering on something. Also, if you like making your own textures and then scanning them in and using them digitally, I think this pen is awesome for that. So I'm just really looking forward to using this. Also, Dylan M has a really great Skillshare class on doing some journaling. So I know that she uses this pen and it looks so great in her journals. So I will certainly be using it the next time I take her class. to properly test out the supplies that I got, I'm just going to be sketching some flowers that I have from a reference, like a vintage gardening book, a reference book that I really like. So I did like a loose pencil sketch underneath, and then just going over top of these with some of the Tombow markers, and then I'm going to add in just further depth and color layers with the pencils, and then a little bit of the pastels as well. So now you can see just layering over the marker with some colored pencils, and I think this really brings a nice depth to the artwork. And I won't say this is like the best art I've ever created, but it was really just to test out these supplies and just kind of have fun doing a little drawing and just kind of limiting myself to only using the new stuff that I got. So everything you see here is part of what I swatched earlier and nothing that I already had on hand. So kind of a fun challenge actually. Liked adding the oil pastels over top of these leaves here. I just think it definitely adds that perfect like shadowing and depth of color that I wanted. So I really can see me using these kind of in that way, but again, I really just want to sharpen them a little bit so that they're easier to put in small spaces and not just so chunky. So that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful just seeing all these supplies swatched. Let me know if there's anything else you'd be curious to take a look at, or any other marker colors or anything, or just if you have video ideas in general. I'm really looking to expand my channel and do some more art content. So I will see you next time, and thank you so much for watching.